what's up guys? This is Kai24 back on your screens with another fantastic tech review. So like you might have seen, I have recently switched over to using the Mac Mini as my kind of do-it-all computer for editing, design, whatever it is, all my content creation stuff. And moving from kind of having a gaming rig to that was obviously a big change because now I was no longer using a PC or a Windows machine, now I had a Mac. And one of the biggest changes for me was obviously the keyboard layout. Now previously I had a SteelSeries Apex 7 keyboard, which was your standard kind of gaming keyboard that you'd get, and it had the nice kind of clicky keys. I think it was blue switches. It had the blue switches. I can't remember. It had like the blue switches, I think, and it was the nice clicky keys that was really good for typing, and it was fantastic. However, the one thing that was really annoying me was that it was still RGB, which kind of wasn't fitting my aesthetic, the new aesthetic of my kind of cleaner desk setup. And the second thing was that it was a Windows keyboard, so the shortcuts were really messy. I wasn't getting the kind of nice shortcut features you were getting with the Mac keyboards that came, or like the ones that you have on the MacBook. At the top row you've got all of those shortcuts for your brightness and your volume and all of that. I wasn't getting that with the Apex 7 keyboard, and what I was looking for was obviously something that had a Mac layout, hopefully something that was nice to type with, and that I could use ergonomically for a long period of time, because I'd be spending long hours doing editing sessions. And I hunted, and the choices were between getting kind of a TKL clicky keyboard of some sort, or getting your bog standard Mac Magic keyboard, or getting a third keyboard. And that third keyboard is what I chose to get, and that is what this review is going to be about. Very quickly, this is the keyboard that I chose to get. This is the Logitech MX Keys, and I would probably recommend this as the best Mac productivity keyboard out there right now. And honestly, after using this for a while, I would highly recommend this to anybody who owns a Mac device or multiple Mac devices, and you want to increase your productivity threefold. And there's a reason I say threefold, but I'll tell you that reason after we hit this intro. So let's hit that intro. So, just like with most of my tech reviews, this is going to be a very non-technical review. It's going to be based on more of my user experience with this keyboard, as well as what I like and dislike about it. And yeah, it's going to be kind of a very practical based review. So the first thing we're going to start off with is the design. And of course, you can see it for yourself. It is a very nice and very sleek keyboard. It's got that gray and black tone to it, which I personally love. It kind of matches the tone that the Mac sets. The other thing that I want to mention is the keys are quite flat. They're not clicky keys. They are kind of flat. I'm not sure what type of switches they are underneath, but they do feel quite nice when you're typing. At first I was kind of skeptical because I really don't like the flat key layout. I just find it really awkward to type with. However, this keyboard has been fantastic to type with. I'll get over to that side of things in a bit, but a bit more about the design. It does have this kind of raised bezel. Is it bezel? Raised platform? Raised part. There's this raised part at the back that allows the keyboard to kind of sit upwards. It's kind of a slant that lets you type a little bit more comfortably. It's not laying flat right onto the table. The other thing is, it is a Mac keyboard, so the layout is for Mac. It's laid out as any other Mac keyboard. Is pretty much exactly the same as the standard Mac Magic keyboard, including all of the kind of shortcut buttons at the top where the numbers are. You've got the command option control buttons instead of the Windows control and alt buttons. That's what Windows has, right? Forgotten already. Look at me. Haha, I'm such a Mac enthusiast. Anyway, there is a version of this that's made not for the Mac but made for the Mac and Windows, which has both of the keys it's got the keys labeled for both Windows and Mac. However, I opted for purely the Mac version because I don't have many Windows machines that I'm going to be using this with, and so just having it with the Mac is much more easier for me. And yeah, I mean, as far as design goes, that is kind of the main thing. It has a USB kind of port at the top here with an on-off switch, and it is a backlit keyboard, so you can actually turn that on and off. So when it's on, the backlight does dim down and turn off automatically after a little while, and then when you kind of move your hand and hover your hand above the keyboard, there are sensors that apparently detect that. The other thing is, when the backlight is turned on, it does drain the battery a lot faster. As far as I've seen with other reviews, it's about 10 to 15 days you get with the backlight on, depending on the amount of usage that you have. However, I do prefer to use it with the backlight off because I rarely ever kind of use this thing in the dark, and I much kind of just prefer just the blank layout. And without the backlight, this thing lasts for ages. Like, I think I haven't charged this thing in over a month now, and it's still going strong. So the next thing is actually ease of use. When it is on the table, it's nice and flat. Like I said, it's got that raised edge, which makes it really nice and comfortable to type. Now, in terms of the keys are also flat keys, and they're not clicky, but they are kind of soft, and they don't have a lot of travel in them, which makes it nice and quick to type with. And the keys have this little kind of indent, this circular indent, which is supposed to make it much more ergonomic and easy to type with. And in my opinion, it does. I feel like it's much more comfortable to type with this keyboard than it is, for example, if I'm using the MacBook keyboard. I prefer using this to the MacBook keyboard. Now, in terms of the other kind of ease of uses, this has, again, like I said, all the shortcuts are there for your brightness, you're switching your apps, opening up your app drawers, the keyboard brightness, media buttons, it's got volume buttons, it's got an eject button on it as well. It's also got these extra shortcuts on the side, which I haven't seen with the actual Mac keyboard, and it's for things like opening up your calculator, taking a screenshot, locking the Mac, whatever you want to do to it. Through the Logitech app, it is completely customizable. So if you ever want to swap over any of the keys to do something else, you can completely map the keys however you want. And that again does wonders for productivity and, in terms of workflow and stuff like that, because you can map it to however you want. And so obviously that's another thing in terms of usability, is the actual app that it comes with. The Logitech software that it comes with allows you to map everything. It allows you to map it depending on whatever application you're using on your computer. So if I'm editing with DaVinci Resolve, I can have this mapped to a very specific layout that makes it easier for me to use for editing there. If I'm using Lightroom, I can map it to Lightroom. If I'm using any other program, I can map it to that program. Now, I do want to mention that this has a 2.4 gigahertz USB receiver, as well as capability to use it with Bluetooth. Now, there is an additional feature that this keyboard has, which the Magic Keyboard doesn't have, and it's the main reason why I would highly recommend this to anybody who's looking to increase their productivity, anybody who owns a Mac, or if not, if you want to get the Windows version of this or the mixed version of this. That is the fact that this keyboard can actually connect to 3 different devices at the same time. And what I mean by that is actually you can switch between 3 different devices with absolute ease. And there are these 3 buttons at the top here, which are numbered, number 1, 2, and 3. F13, 14, and 15 apparently. At the click of a button, it will switch over to whichever device that button is assigned to. So number 1 is assigned to the Mac Mini. If I click number 1, it's on number 1, it will switch to the Mac Mini. If I click number 2 and I want to do something to number 2, it will switch to number 2. And so you can switch very easily between multiple devices at the touch of a button. You don't have to go through the whole reconnect process with the Bluetooth. It just stays connected. It identifies that it's there, and all you have to do is click the button and it swaps over. The best thing is that through the Logitech app, if you've got the Logitech app installed on all of your devices, and it recognizes that all of those devices are connected to this keyboard, it has an inbuilt memory which allows you to copy and paste between the multiple devices. So if you've got something up on your Mac Mini that you want to copy over onto your phone or whatever third device you've got, copy and paste in your Mac Mini, switch over to number 3, go over to your phone, paste it over there. That is what makes this so good. Not only is it ergonomically kind of nice to use, it is also very practical, and it does the job very well. It's very comfortable to type with. I've typed with it for long periods of time when I've kind of written up scripts and stuff like that, and I haven't felt my wrist or hands getting tired because the keyboard isn't very high. I thought it was going to kind of affect the way my kind of wrists lie, but it doesn't do that. I don't really need to worry about it. Yeah, it's just a great keyboard. The one downside that I do think is the battery life, and like I said, with the backlight on, it doesn't last very long. A couple of days, maybe 10-15 days, which isn't actually a very long time. I wish they had actually found a way to keep the backlight on and extend the battery life whilst using the backlight, because I don't imagine that an LED backlight takes up a huge amount of power. So that is one thing that I would say is a downside. And the other thing is an easier way to turn off the backlight. Like right now, if I want to completely turn off the backlight and inactivate it, then I have to go into the Logitech app and turn it off through there rather than kind of from the keyboard directly. There should be an option on the keyboard to kind of completely kill off the backlight, like have like a mute button for the backlight, because it has it has two dedicated buttons up here which kind of increase and decrease the brightness of the backlight, but there is no button that completely kills off the backlight, and that would be very, very handy because then you can just kind of turn it on and off whenever you need it to, and you wouldn't have to kind of go into the app and do it. Those are kind of my two only quarrels with this keyboard. Otherwise, this is an absolutely fantastic keyboard, and if you're a content creator and you want that increased amount of productivity and you don't need to have a gaming keyboard, then I would highly recommend picking one of these up, especially if you've got Mac devices that you can connect to, or if you've got Windows devices that you're using and you want that increased amount of productivity and the freedom to switch between your multiple devices, then this is a fantastic keyboard to get. I do like using these Logitech devices in terms of the productivity it brings. I use the Logitech MX Master mice as well. I have two of those, one that kind of stays in my bag and one that stays on my desk because I don't want to move that around. Anyway, I'm going to do a completely different review for the Logitech MX Master Series mice, so that you can look forward to. However, for today, this is the Logitech MX Keys, and I highly recommend this as a content creator, as somebody who likes to have increased amounts of productivity and likes to have kind of a better workflow. This is definitely the keyboard to get. I hope you guys found that useful. I hope that was useful to you, especially if you were in the market for a new keyboard and you wanted something that was nice and sleek and did the job, then this is definitely my recommended keyboard. If you did enjoy the video and it was useful, then hit that like button, and if you're not already, then please do hit that subscribe button if you enjoy my kind of content in general. And if you want to see when my new content comes out, then hit that notification bell. It will tell you exactly when my new videos are out, and which is usually on a weekly basis. So until next week, guys, Caillou24, I'm signing out.